I used to think a dog guarding its owner was the most romantic little bodyguard story ever. Like, wow, tiny security guard, no salary, emotionally intense, barking at guests for love. And then I looked closer, and the story became much less noble and honestly much funnier. Because sometimes that dog is not protecting you like a hero protects a castle. Sometimes a dog is guarding you the same way it guards a bone under the couch. Different object, same little mental filing cabinet, which is a very rude way to classify a human. To a dog, a resource is not only food sitting in a bowl. A resource can be a toy, a bed, a doorway, a sofa corner, or one disgusting sock. It can be the hallway where the dog likes to block traffic like a furry toll booth. It can be a scent, a sleeping spot, a chew, a blanket, or the space beside your knee. And then there is the premium subscription resource. The human opens doors, gives food, provides attention, controls walks, pays rent, and still says, "Good boy." So, in the dog's tiny economy, you are not just a person. You are the walking vending machine with emotional lighting. Very sweet, obviously, also a little insulting if we are being honest. This is where the misunderstanding begins, because humans love translating control as devotion. The dog stands in front of the owner when someone approaches, and people say, "He loves me." Maybe he does, but love is not the only engine running under that fur. The dog may also be saying, "This resource is mine. Please stop touching my account settings." And once you hear it that way, a lot of cute behavior suddenly looks suspicious. Resource guarding usually starts with something obvious, like food, bones, toys, or stolen trash treasures. The dog freezes over the item, lowers its head, stiffens the body, or gives that tiny warning growl. Humans see the growl and immediately get offended, like the dog just wrote a betrayal email. But the growl is often communication before the bite, not the bite already happening. It is the dog saying, "I feel this thing may be taken and I'm not emotionally available." Then comes the human mistake, because humans love fixing tension by grabbing the thing harder. The owner reaches in, yanks the bowl away, and accidentally teaches the worst possible lesson. The lesson is not humans are trustworthy around resources. The lesson is, I was correct. The giant hand really does steal my stuff. Congratulations, the security system has received its villain origin story. Now replace the bowl with the owner's lap, attention, or physical space. The dog learns that the person is a source of food, play, comfort, safety, movement, and routine. Every good thing comes through that human, like customer service with shoes on. So when another person sits nearby, hugs the owner, reaches for a handshake, or enters the house, the dog's brain may not read that as a friendly social moment. It may read it as someone approaching the highest value resource in the room. And the weird part is, the dog does not need to hate the guest for this to happen. The dog only needs to believe access is being threatened. That is why owner guarding can look jealous, clingy, romantic, nervous, bossy, or brave. Same behavior, many costumes, because dogs apparently love unclear subtitles. One hidden sign is the chin on the leg. It looks soft, like the dog is being affectionate and emotionally available for a family drama. But if the chin appears every time another person gets close, watch the timing. The chin may be a soft little parking cone placed on the owner's body. Not a bite, not a growl, not a disaster, just a quiet claim ticket. Another sign is the famous wedge move between two people hugging. The dog squeezes between a husband and wife like a fluffy marriage counselor with no license. Everybody laughs because it looks needy, and sometimes it really is just attention seeking. But if the body gets stiff, the eyes harden, or the dog blocks contact repeatedly, the joke changes genre. Now it is not cute jealousy anymore. Now it is spatial control wearing a sitcom costume. There is also intense licking when a guest enters. A dog may lick the owner's hand, arm, or face as if suddenly overwhelmed with love. And yes, licking can be affection, appeasement, stress relief, or a habit, so we do not diagnose from one lick. But if the licking appears exactly when another person approaches, it may be a pressure release behavior. The dog is soothing itself while keeping contact with the resource. Basically, the dog is saying, I am calm, this human is still mine, I am calm. Very stable sentence. completely suspicious delivery. The owner often accidentally builds this system with perfect kindness. The dog demands attention, the owner pets it. The dog pushes between people, the owner laughs and cuddles it. The dog barks at a guest, the owner says, "Oh, he is just protective," and gives reassurance. From the human side, this feels loving. From the dog's learning system, the behavior just got paid. And dogs are not sitting there writing moral philosophy about healthy attachment. They mostly notice patterns. I block, I get touch, I growl, the stranger moves, I wedge, the hug ends. That is not evil. It is accounted kafos, very furry accounting, but still accounting. Now, about the dramatic empty bowl experiment idea, we need to be careful. People love saying there is some perfect brainwave proof that guarding meat and guarding humans look identical. That sounds cinematic, but behavior science is usually less neat and less willing to wear a superhero cape. The safer point is this: the outward guarding pattern can be surprisingly similar across resources. Food bowl, chew bone, sofa corner, owner's lap, the trigger changes, but the control strategy rhymes. The dog protects access, creates distance, and tries to prevent loss. So instead of pretending one magical scan explains everything, watch the sequence. What happens right before the dog stiffens? Who approached? What changed? What space was invaded? And what did the dog gain afterward? That little timeline tells more truth than a fake lab coat ever could. The body language usually comes in levels. First, yako, the dog may stare, freeze, lean, hover, press in, or place the body between people. Then the dog may whale eye, lip lick, growl, bark, snap the air, or chase someone back. And if everyone keeps ignoring the early notes, the final email can arrive with teeth attached. Not because the dog woke up and chose villain mode, because the dog's earlier, quieter messages were accidentally rewarded or completely missed. This is why the owner can become the target too, which sounds impossible until you understand the rule. If the owner is a resource, the owner is not always the boss of that resource. In the dog's confused system, the dog may start making rules about how the resource is used. You cannot hug that person. You cannot shake that hand. You cannot leave this couch. You cannot invite that guest into the zone. The owner thinks, "Excuse me, I am the human here." The dog's brain says, "Cute opinion, but this inventory is under my department." That is where toxic possession becomes dangerous. The dog may redirect onto the owner when the owner moves against the dog's rule. Maybe the owner pushes the dog away, reaches over it, grabs the collar, or keeps greeting the guest. The dog feels the control slipping, stress spikes, and the warning behavior jumps levels. This is the part where "he is just protective" becomes an expensive sentence. Because a protective dog should be able to stand down when the owner says the situation is fine. A possessive dog often cannot stand down because the owner is the thing being guarded. Different job description, very different problem. And no, this does not mean the dog is bad, dominant, or secretly planning a household coup. That old dominance explanation is tempting because it feels simple and gives humans a villain to fight. But most real cases are messier: insecurity, reinforcement history, fear of loss, poor boundaries, or learned control. The dog is not running for president of the couch. The dog is trying to control uncertainty with the only tools it knows. Unfortunately, the tools are barking, blocking, stiffening, and sometimes teeth, which is not ideal equipment. So how do you untangle the knot without turning the house into a power struggle? First, stop paying the guarding behavior with more access. If the dog wedges between people and gets cuddled, the wedge just became a vending machine button. Instead, teach a calm alternate behavior before the intense moment happens. A mat, a bed, a station, a place cue, boring words, very useful software update. The goal is not to punish the dog for wanting the owner. The goal is to show the dog that human attention can be shared without the world collapsing. Second, rebuild spatial control gently. The owner decides who sits where, who enters, and when the dog gets invited into contact. Not with yelling, not with alpha theater, not with dramatic finger pointing like a bad courtroom scene. Just consistent rules that make the environment predictable. If guests arrive, the dog may start behind a gate, on a leash, or on a mat with rewards. That is not rejection. That is traffic control before the tiny security guard causes paperwork. Third, change the emotional math around approach. When another person comes near, good things can happen to the dog without the dog controlling the person. The dog learns, guest approaches, I stay on my mat, reward arrives, nobody steals my human subscription. Slowly, the trigger stops meaning loss. It starts meaning, oh, this situation pays calmly. That is counter conditioning in normal language, replacing the panic receipt with a better receipt. Fourth, do not test the dog by provoking it. Do not hug dramatically just to see what happens. Do not take the dog's guarded space by force to prove a point. Do not let guests reach over the dog because they are good with animals. That sentence has started many bad side quests. Well, a guarding dog needs structure, distance, and professional help if aggression is already serious. Especially if there are children, repeated snapping, bites, or a dog that cannot relax around normal movement. That is not overreacting. That is realizing the cute bodyguard story has teeth in the script. The healthiest version of this relationship is not, my dog owns me completely. It is, my dog trusts me enough not to own me. The dog can love the owner without controlling every hand that approaches. The dog can feel safe without managing the family like an unpaid security app. And the owner can finally stop mistaking possession for devotion. Because real trust is quieter than guarding. It does not need to block the hallway, police the sofa, or turn every hug into a legal dispute. It just needs clear rules, calm practice, and humans who stop romanticizing every warning sign. So the next time a dog wedges between people or guards a lap like buried treasure, do not panic. But also, do not immediately call it brave love and give the behavior a trophy. Ask the better question, is this dog choosing closeness or controlling access? That question is less romantic, sure, but it is much more useful, and unlike the tiny bodyguard fantasy, it can actually keep everyone safe.